Here where we are, Kamena colony, it's built on the former site of a mining field. And when the mining moved a little bit far, the workers were given the land, or not the land, not the ownership, but the opportunity to build their houses here. And they built these houses from remaining material from the mining field, and also from a brick factory, which was also close to here. And the houses were like partly illegal. You know, it wasn't legal, it wasn't illegal. They were permitted to build it, but by the owner, not by any offices or something. So that was the beginning on the edge of 19th and 20th century. In 60s, I guess, or somewhere around, most of the former inhabitants left because they were offered by the state, by the Communist Party, to move into new flats in new panel houses in the areas on like edge of the BRNO. And they all went, of course, because for them it was like a luxury, because there was like a hot water and electricity in every flat, and it wasn't so common here those days. So they left, and the city probably planned to use this area in the future, you know, like destroy it all and build something new here. But there are not ideal conditions for building big houses, so it stayed. And new people moved in the empty houses.
Master plan, it's like the first step, but it's a very important document which sets the limits of or conditions for spatial development. We define some strategic places in a BRNO master plan, which would be rebuilt to mixed land uses, mostly housing and jobs together in one place. And these places are mainly located in close proximity to the city center. It's the southeast part of the city, where are former factories and where was located textile industry, for example. And now we have to we want to regenerate it to fulfill the idea of compact city, to bring people back to the city and to start reurbanization and to stop or to fight with the suburbanization, because it has some negative consequences, and we want people to move back to the city. And of course, when we have some larger project, we suggest that first we need some urban competition or architectural competition. For example, in the case of a new train station and the neighborhood Timnita, it's the international big competition, and we expect that we will have very interesting results from this competition from experienced architects all around the world. And based on the competition, there should be like more concrete steps, to make some preparing for the construction. Of course, the BRNO City Council has to agree with the project. So we have, I would say, unique area which is located south from the city center, and it's unused space. And in master plan, it's defined like new neighborhood, Trnita, and like the center part of this neighborhood should be new main train station in Brno. Then we have Špitálka area, which is planned to be rebuilt in a kind of smart neighborhood with the principles of smart city. Then we have other larger brownfields like Zborovka, for example. It's near the Svitava river. Of course, we know that Brno is attractive for citizens, for foreigners, because we have quite strong part of the city economy is created by innovative companies and IT sector, and industry or services related to the higher education, to the universities. We know that Brno is attractive for foreigners and young people. For example, after they graduate at universities. But when we see the migration rate in older age groups, and older means 30 years old and more, we see the population trend, because these people, for example, want to start their families, and then we have problems because the prices of our apartments are growing for 100% in last 5 years. So these people are pushed away, and they have to find housing elsewhere. And then we have smaller areas of former textile or wooden industry, for example, Dřevopodnik, which is planned again to be rebuilt, and there should be constructed new housing, especially social housing. In case of demographic situation, population size of Brno remains the same, remains stable for 40 years, 30 years maybe. And but the surroundings, like the whole metropolitan area, is growing. But the growth is related only to the municipalities in the hinterland of Brno, and that's the problem, because most of them commute to Brno, and then we have problems with traffic and overloaded infrastructure. So the idea is to bring people back to the city.
Artists, students, dissidents, some people who have some trouble with the system, and they started to live here because they really couldn't afford or weren't given the opportunity to live somewhere else. Specific group of people who knew each other, who lived kind of together, because by the not great conditions of the houses or the infrastructure, so they had to help each other, do things together, build a community. Nowadays it's kind of different because a lot of the former or like the people from 60s, their children, they didn't want to live here, moved out, and a lot of houses are rent. Nowadays definitely it isn't artistic community now. The diversity is bigger. It's not for the poor anymore. The houses here, when somebody sell it, it's really expensive, and the people who live here, it's like the whole spectrum. One thing is that there is still really bad infrastructure, or not just bad, but really weird. In the normal urban environment, you have like the main infrastructure, and every house has its own connection. Here it's not exactly like it. People were connecting on other people, so the net isn't, like nicely organized. It's a chaos. So I think that's one of the reasons why the city don't want to sell it. It's still a big piece of land next to the city center. So they just don't want to give it up because potentially it could be some profit
it could be
one day.